Alright, so since you guys were last here, what we've really done is just made a start on the finishing work. So for this corner, essentially, we just started cleaning all the welds, taking all the scratches out, all that kind of stuff. And essentially we're just starting from one corner and we're going to work our way across the car as we go. There's only a few things you can do with metal. So every single one of these panels on this Cobra, one of three things, or a combination of those three, has actually happened to them. You can shrink, stretch, and bend. Now every shape here is some combination of stretch and bend and shrink on the edges. The struggle when it comes to shaping the panels is not shrinking, stretching, or bending. It's the placement of those. Where the stretch needs to be, where the shrink needs to be, how much the bend radius needs to be to get the panel to actually fit correctly. So to figure out how we're going to actually go ahead and shape the material, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can use your intuition once you've developed it, but in the beginning, the way we do it is we take a piece of paper. Now, paper has no shrink and stretch, so it tells you exactly what that panel needs. You lay it over here, you'll see it gathers on the edges, so you know that requires shrink, or it's too tight in the center, and you can then sort of infer from that there needs to be stretch there. As far as forming goes, there's a few ways one can form, and there's a couple different styles. So, for instance, the British style, which is primarily what we use here, is very heavily based off the English wheel. So everything's wheeled out. What we're going to do now is create that bend for the reverse. And the way we do that is we run it through the wheel with a rubber band on, which is just essentially an old inner tube. All right, so with that, what we've done is just transferred through our lines to the other side of the panel. So now we can do all our wheeling from the top. So the reason we're using the rubber band for this step is one, that it allows us to actually bend the material, form it over the wheel, but the other is that it's softer than the material. So that means we can run it through without actually adding any stretch to the material. All right, so now that we've run it through a few times, what we can do is just pull the rubber band off and actually start stretching the material. By running it through the wheel, what we're doing is essentially fanning out the aluminium. In summary, what we've pretty much done by rolling the aluminium in this direction is just stretched it out, sort of like that, essentially flared the material. So that's how you make a reverse curve on a wheel. So as far as panels are concerned, we're probably about 90% of the way done with all the panel work at the moment. We've really got 1, 2, 3, 4, probably about 5 or 6 more panels till we're done with the work, and then it's all just welding and cleaning from there.